Imagine skipping the most important exam of your life, and hours later, a fleet of luxury cars pulls up outside your house. That's exactly what happened to Marcus, a black student from a small neighborhood, whose life was about to be turned upside down in ways he could never imagine. One moment, he was worried about failing a scholarship test that could change everything. The next, he was helping a billionaire's wife in a life-or-death situation, completely unaware that this single decision would make him a headline overnight. Before we dive in, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story gets crazier by the minute, and you won't want to miss a second. Marcus had always been the kind of kid who kept his head down. Life in Ashwood Lane wasn't glamorous. Bills piled up, hope was rare, and dreams felt heavy. His mother worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on, and Marcus had made a promise to himself. He would earn the scholarship that could give them a real future. This was his chance, the National Scholarship Exam. Full tuition, housing, and the possibility of escaping the slow grind of his neighborhood. Today was everything. He woke up at 5 a.m., heart pounding, staring at the ceiling. He checked his backpack 3 times, tied his sneakers, and whispered a quiet prayer. His mother had left a note on the fridge. "This is your moment. Make it count." Marcus held it, feeling both nervous and determined. He imagined sitting at the exam hall, pencil in hand, finally proving that his hard work could pay off. Outside, the sky was heavy, dark clouds rolling in. Rain began to fall in fat, cold drops, turning the streets slick. Marcus ran to catch his bus. Every second felt like a heartbeat in a countdown to destiny. But destiny had a different plan. A screech of tires, a violent crash, and a scream cut through the rain. Marcus froze. Down the street, a black limousine had lost control, skidding into a lamp post. Smoke curled from the hood. The back door swung open, revealing a terrified figure inside. He should have kept going. Every second now mattered. The bus, the exam, the scholarship. But he couldn't. Something in him reacted before his mind could catch up. He sprinted toward the wreck. Rain soaked him instantly. The woman inside the limo was crying, clutching her ankle. Her expensive dress was torn, hair plastered to her face with rainwater. She looked completely helpless. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" he shouted, reaching for her. I can't move. My driver went to get help. Please don't leave me," she gasped. Marcus hesitated. He glanced down the street. No bus. No signal. No one around. The exam he had prepared for months? Slipping through his fingers. But looking at her terrified face, he knew he couldn't leave. "It's okay. I've got you," he said firmly. He helped her out of the car. Her leg gave way under her weight, but Marcus held her steady. She leaned against him, shivering violently as the rain poured down. He guided her to a nearby bus stop, its small roof barely keeping them dry. "What's your name?" Marcus asked. "Evelyn," she whispered. Her voice trembled. His heart skipped a beat. Evelyn Prescott, wife of billionaire Alexander Prescott, one of the most famous and richest men in the country. Her face had been on magazine covers, billboards, and news channels. And now she was here, drenched and injured, relying on him entirely. "You're Evelyn Prescott," Marcus stammered. She nodded. "Please, don't let anyone see me like this. The media, the internet, it would ruin everything." Marcus quickly took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. She blinked at him, a mix of shock and gratitude on her face. "You shouldn't be missing school because of me," she whispered. Marcus looked down the street. The bus wasn't coming. His exam was lost. The opportunity he had waited for months, maybe years, had disappeared. His chest tightened with a mixture of fear and determination. He couldn't leave her alone, no matter the cost. For the next hour, he stayed with her, keeping her warm, talking her through the pain, and quietly feeling the weight of what he had sacrificed. His scholarship exam, his dreams, his future, all gone. All for a stranger he barely knew. Then, finally, a black SUV screeched around the corner. Men in suits jumped out and rushed toward them. "Mrs. Prescott, thank God we found you." Marcus helped her into the SUV, and before the door closed, she grabbed his hand. "I won't forget this," she said, her voice serious and quiet. "I promise." And just like that, she was gone. Marcus stood soaked and stunned, feeling the weight of the choice he had made. He had given up his future to help someone else, someone rich, untouchable, and powerful. What he didn't know was that the very next morning, His sacrifice would bring the Prescott empire directly to his doorstep, and his life would never be the same again. Marcus woke up the next morning feeling like the world had shifted beneath him. The storm from last night had left the streets flooded and quiet, but he didn't notice. His mind was spinning with what had happened. Evelyn Prescott, the billionaire's wife, relying on him in the middle of a downpour. He had skipped the most important exam of his life to help her, and now every second of that decision seemed heavier than he could carry. He rolled out of bed, still half drenched from yesterday's rain, and went to the window to check the street. That's when he saw it. A line of black SUVs and luxury cars parked neatly outside his house. Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, Porsches, even a massive Range Rover he didn't know existed. His jaw dropped. His mother came into the room, rubbing her eyes, equally stunned. "Marcus, what is that?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Marcus couldn't answer. He pressed closer to the glass. Men in suits were getting out of the vehicles. One of them approached the door of their house, holding a tablet, speaking quickly into a phone. He looked around, scanning the neighborhood. Marcus's stomach twisted. His heart raced like a drumbeat he couldn't control. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't some viral prank. This was real. And somehow, it was his fault. Before he could gather his thoughts, the doorbell rang. 3 short, urgent rings that echoed through the small house. Marcus's mother froze, clutching the doorframe. Marcus took a deep breath and opened the door. Standing there were 3 men, impeccably dressed, sunglasses reflecting the early morning light. One of them stepped forward and spoke in a calm but commanding voice. "Marcus Johnson? That's me," Marcus said, his voice shaking. The man nodded slightly. "I'm Michael Kane. I work with Mrs. Prescott. She asked us to come personally. May we come in?" Marcus stepped aside, still unsure if he was dreaming. The men entered and immediately began speaking in low, serious tones, scanning the house as if they were assessing its worth. Marcus felt a mix of fear, excitement, and disbelief. "She told us what happened yesterday," Michael continued. "She insists we thank you properly. And she asked us to make sure you're safe and comfortable." Marcus's mother looked at him, eyes wide. "Safe? Comfortable? What do you mean?" Michael glanced at Marcus, then said simply, "You help someone who literally controls billions of dollars. That kind of action doesn't go unnoticed." Marcus swallowed hard. He didn't know what to say. All he had done was help a woman trapped in the rain. He hadn't asked for money. He hadn't asked for fame. He hadn't asked for anything. But apparently, in the world of billionaires, even the smallest act could ripple like a tsunami. Just then, a driver in a sharp black suit tapped on the window of one of the SUVs. He handed over a small, sleek envelope with the Prescott family crest embossed in gold. Marcus opened it, hands trembling. Inside was a handwritten note. "Marcus, what you did yesterday was more than kindness. It was courage. Meet me at my estate today at 2 p.m. I want to thank you personally. Evelyn Prescott." Marcus froze. The words blurred as his heart raced. "Evelyn Prescott wants to meet me at her estate," he muttered. Michael Kane nodded. "She insisted. She said it's important. And, Marcus, just so you know, arrangements have been made for your transportation. You won't have to worry about buses or traffic." Marcus's mind raced. Private cars, a personal invitation from a billionaire's wife, a chance to meet her in her mansion. This was something he had only ever seen in movies. And yet, here it was, happening to him. By noon, Marcus found himself in the back of a black limousine, windows tinted, the leather seats cool beneath him. The city passed by like a blur. The driver didn't speak. He didn't need to. Marcus felt like he was in another world entirely, a world far removed from Ashwood Lane, far removed from textbooks and exams, far removed from the ordinary life he had known. He tried to think about the scholarship, the test, the future he had put on hold. But every time he did, a voice inside him reminded him he had done the right thing. Helping Evelyn Prescott wasn't just about being brave, it was about humanity. And somehow, that humanity had summoned a world he didn't know existed. The limo slowed as they approached a massive estate perched on a hill. Marble columns rose like monuments, fountains glistened in the sunlight, and private security men lined the entrance. Marcus's mouth went dry. The driver opened the door, and Marcus stepped out onto the perfectly manicured lawn. A valet quickly handed him a jacket, as if he had been expected here his entire life. And then he saw her, Evelyn Prescott, standing at the grand entrance of her mansion, looking as elegant and poised as he had seen in magazines. But the look in her eyes was different. Genuine, grateful, relieved. "Marcus," she said, walking toward him. "Thank you again. I don't know what would have happened without you yesterday." Marcus stammered. I, I just, I didn't want you to be hurt. That's all." Evelyn smiled, but there was an intensity in her gaze. Most people would have kept walking. Most people would have worried about their own lives. But you didn't. That's rare, Marcus. That's incredibly rare. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. He had never been thanked like this before. Not by a teacher, not by a mentor, not by anyone. And here she was, the wife of one of the richest men in the country, saying it sincerely. She paused, then motioned toward the entrance. "Come inside. I insist on giving you a proper thank you, and I want you to meet someone who's very interested in speaking with you." Marcus's heart pounded harder. He didn't know what to expect. A party? A press event? A business meeting? None of it mattered. He followed her through the massive doors into a world of luxury he had only glimpsed on TV, unaware that the next few hours would not only shock him, but change the trajectory of his life forever. The interior of Evelyn Prescott's mansion was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. Marble floors stretched endlessly beneath his feet, and crystal chandeliers hung like frozen waterfalls from the ceiling. Expensive paintings lined the walls, and every detail, from the polished gold fixtures to the intricate rugs, screamed wealth. Marcus felt like he had stepped into a movie, but the people inside made it feel even more real. Evelyn led him down a long hallway, her heels clicking softly, and Marcus noticed the staff subtly parting to let them pass. No one looked surprised, no one whispered. It was as if they had all been expecting him. His nerves jumped, but curiosity pushed him forward. Finally, they arrived at a massive room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a sprawling garden. Sunlight poured in, and at the far end, a tall man in a tailored suit was waiting. Marcus's heart nearly stopped. "Marcus," Evelyn said, her voice calm but commanding. "I want you to meet my husband, Alexander Prescott." Marcus swallowed hard. Alexander Prescott, billionaire, tech genius, owner of multiple global companies. A man whose decisions affected millions of lives. A man who rarely gave interviews, rarely left his estate, rarely even smiled. And now he was standing directly in front of Marcus, studying him with piercing eyes. "Marcus," Alexander said, his tone steady but surprisingly warm. "I've heard a lot about you." He extended a hand. Marcus hesitated for a moment, then shook it. The grip was firm, confident, and somehow reassuring. I just did what anyone would do," Marcus stammered. Alexander raised an eyebrow, a small smile forming. "Most people would have walked past. But not you. That tells me a lot about your character." Marcus felt his cheeks flush. This was surreal. He had never received praise like this, especially not from someone of such power. Evelyn stepped closer. "Marcus, we want to make sure you understand how grateful we are. And we want to show it in a way that actually matters to you." Alexander gestured to an assistant, who brought forward a tablet. Marcus glanced down and froze. On the screen were details of a full scholarship, not just for tuition, but for room, board, and a guaranteed internship at one of Prescott's tech companies. "You're getting a second chance at your exam, Marcus," Alexander said. "But this isn't just about school. This is about potential, about recognizing courage, and about giving someone the tools to succeed when they've shown integrity." Marcus felt like he was dreaming. His mouth went dry. All the nights of studying, all the sacrifices, all the worry about whether he could ever leave Ashwood Lane. It had led to this moment, but in a way he could never have predicted. Evelyn walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. "I know yesterday put you in a difficult position, but you stayed. You made the right choice. That's something that can't be measured by exams or grades. That's why we want to invest in your future." Marcus's mind raced. Scholarship, internship, meeting the most powerful people he could imagine. His dreams, the ones he thought he had thrown away, were suddenly alive again. Bigger, brighter, and more tangible than ever. Alexander nodded toward a window overlooking the garden. "Marcus, what you did shows courage and empathy. These are qualities that can't be taught, but they can be nurtured. That's what we want to do. You have an opportunity now to see what's possible when someone believes in you." Marcus swallowed hard, trying to steady his voice. I don't know what to say. Thank you doesn't even feel like enough." Alexander smiled, just a hint, but it carried weight. Then don't say anything yet. Let's show you first. A door opened at the side of the room, and an assistant stepped in. Marcus, we've arranged for you to tour the Prescott Innovation Lab. You'll see firsthand what our team works on. Evelyn suggested you might find it inspiring. Marcus followed nervously, trying to absorb every detail. The hallway was lined with glass cases displaying prototypes, inventions, and cutting-edge technology. Screens lit up with holographic images, robots whirred quietly in the corners, and engineers in crisp uniforms moved efficiently around the lab. Marcus felt like he had stepped into the future. Everything here, Marcus murmured. It's incredible. Evelyn smiled. And now, you have the chance to be part of it. Not just as a visitor, but as someone we can mentor, guide, and support. If you choose, Marcus, this could change your entire life. He nodded, overwhelmed. It wasn't just the technology, or the cars, or the mansion. It was the belief these people had in him. Someone they didn't even know well. Someone who just made a choice that seemed small but meant everything to them. Then Alexander's tone shifted slightly, serious now. Marcus, one thing I want you to understand. Opportunities like this come with responsibility. You'll be challenged. You'll face pressure. But the same courage that made you help Evelyn yesterday, that will see you through everything else. Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. Responsibility, pressure, challenges, he was ready. He didn't know what the future held, but he realized something powerful. One act of courage had opened doors he never imagined, and now it was up to him to walk through them. Evelyn placed her hand on his shoulder again. Marcus, the Prescott family believes in you. And if you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't achieve. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling a mix of fear, excitement, and determination. Yesterday, he had chosen to do the right thing, even if it meant losing everything. Today, that choice had changed everything. And as he looked around the innovation lab, surrounded by wealth, power, and possibility, he knew one thing for certain. Nothing in his life would ever be ordinary again. And he was ready to step into a world he had only dreamed of, guided by courage, integrity, and the unexpected kindness of a billionaire's wife. Marcus couldn't believe the whirlwind his life had become. Just yesterday, he was worried about missing the national scholarship exam, about failing, about the future slipping through his fingers. Now he was standing in the heart of the Prescott estate, touring a cutting-edge innovation lab, surrounded by billion-dollar technology and brilliant minds, personally invited by Evelyn Prescott and acknowledged by Alexander himself. But as the afternoon sun streamed through the lab windows, Marcus realized that this world, this opulent, high-powered, high-stakes world, wasn't just about luxury or admiration. It was about pressure, scrutiny, and decisions that could impact thousands of lives. And he was about to get his first real taste of it. Evelyn led him to a sleek conference room, walls of glass providing a panoramic view of the estate. Alexander was already seated at the head of a long polished table, flanked by senior executives and tech innovators. Marcus's nerves threatened to overtake him. He had never been in a room like this before. The air smelled faintly of expensive leather and polished wood, and the quiet hum of air conditioning mixed with soft digital noises from tablets and screens lining the walls. Marcus, Evelyn said softly, as if reading his hesitation, don't be intimidated. Everyone here wants to meet you because they've heard what you did. That courage, that presence of mind, it speaks louder than credentials. Marcus nodded, but his stomach was still in knots. He had never done anything remarkable, at least not in this world. His courage yesterday had been instinct, not heroics. And now, he was suddenly expected to hold himself like someone who belonged in this world. Alexander leaned forward slightly, his piercing gaze locking onto Marcus's. We want you to understand something important. Integrity and courage are rare, but opportunity is even rarer. You're here because you made the right choice when no one else would. Today, we're giving you a chance to see the other side of life, the one most people only dream about. Marcus swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the words. I'm honored. I really am. But I feel like I'm not ready for this world. Evelyn shook her head gently. You don't have to be ready, Marcus. You just have to be willing. Just then, one of the executives tapped a tablet, and a screen on the wall lit up. It displayed a map of the city, highlighting major Prescott company assets, ongoing projects, and even a few personal investments. Marcus's eyes widened. The scale of their empire was staggering. From tech startups to global media, logistics, and private security networks, they had their hands in everything. And here, Alexander said, pointing to a highlighted section on the map, is where you'll start. You'll join our scholarship internship program, work with our top engineers and analysts, and gain exposure to projects most graduates would only dream of. Marcus felt dizzy. This was surreal. He had thought helping Evelyn was just a momentary act, a one-day choice, a moral decision. But now, it had turned into a life-altering opportunity that could change everything for him and his mother. Evelyn stepped closer. Marcus, this is more than a scholarship. It's mentorship. It's guidance. It's a chance to prove yourself in ways you never imagined. But it comes with responsibility. Alexander nodded. The same courage that guided you yesterday will be tested here. You'll face challenges, skepticism, and moments where you'll question whether you belong. But if you remember why you did what you did, you'll never falter. Marcus swallowed hard. He thought back to the storm, the shattered limousine, Evelyn's frightened eyes, and the moment he decided to stay, even if it meant losing his exam. That instinct had led him here. That instinct had earned him the trust and attention of one of the richest families in America. Evelyn gestured toward the table. Marcus, we've also arranged for you to shadow our executive team today. You'll see firsthand how decisions are made at this level. It won't be easy. It won't be comfortable. But it will show you what's possible when courage meets opportunity. Marcus nodded, determined. He wasn't just going to watch. He was going to learn, absorb, and prove that he belonged here. Every doubt about himself, every fear of inadequacy, he pushed aside. This was a moment that only came once in a lifetime, and he refused to let it slip away. As the day progressed, Marcus followed the executives from meeting to meeting, observing strategy sessions, product presentations, and decision-making processes that controlled billions of dollars. It was dizzying, overwhelming, and exhilarating all at once. He realized that this world required more than intelligence. It demanded integrity, decisiveness, and the courage to act under pressure. During a brief break, Alexander walked over and placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. You see, Marcus, yesterday was a test, though you didn't know it. Today is another. The difference is, now you have the support and resources to make an impact. Don't squander it. Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him. He understood now that helping Evelyn was more than a heroic moment. It had been a gateway. The Prescott family didn't just reward bravery. They cultivated it, amplified it, and expected results. By the evening, Marcus was exhausted but exhilarated. He had seen wealth, influence, and power in action, but he had also seen something more valuable, the human side of it. Evelyn's gratitude, Alexander's mentorship, and the respect of the executives made him realize that integrity and courage could open doors money alone could never buy. As Marcus left the estate, escorted in a luxury SUV back to his neighborhood, he looked out the window at the streets he had grown up on. Everything looked the same, yet everything felt different. He was the same kid who had worried about an exam yesterday, but now he carried the weight of opportunity, responsibility, and a new vision for his future. One thing was clear. Life had thrown him into a whirlwind, but he had proven that courage and integrity were worth more than any test score. And as the Prescott estate disappeared behind him in the distance, Marcus realized that his life would never, ever be ordinary again. The ride back to Ashwood Lane was quiet, but Marcus's mind was racing. Luxury cars, billion-dollar companies, the personal attention of a billionaire family, it all felt unreal. He looked out the tinted windows at the streets he had always known, and a strange feeling settled over him. Nothing would ever be the same. Every choice, every action from this day forward carried weight he had never imagined. By the time he arrived home, the line of black SUVs from earlier had already vanished. But Marcus's mother ran to meet him at the door, worry etched deep into her face. Marcus, are you okay? Where have you been? The police, neighbors, everyone was calling, she exclaimed. He tried to explain, but words felt inadequate. Mom, I'll tell you everything. It's a lot. She hugged him tightly, sensing that yesterday and today had changed him in ways she couldn't yet understand. Marcus barely slept that night. Thoughts of Evelyn Prescott, the estate, and the opportunities he'd been offered swirled endlessly. But sleep, he realized, wasn't the priority. Preparation was. Responsibility was. Courage had opened a door, but now it was up to him to walk through it properly. The next morning, he received a text from Evelyn herself. Meet me at the estate at 9 a.m. Today, you'll see the first real test of what helping can truly create. Marcus felt a chill. A test? He wasn't sure if he was ready, but there was no hesitation. He had already learned that opportunity waited for no one. When he arrived, the Prescott estate was alive with activity. Dozens of employees, executives, and security personnel moved with precision. Evelyn greeted him warmly, but with an intensity that immediately focused his attention. Marcus, she said, her tone serious. Yesterday showed me who you are. Today will show you if you can handle the Prescott world. Are you ready? Marcus swallowed hard. I'll do my best. She nodded. Good. Follow me. Evelyn led him to a conference room where Alexander was waiting. Several executives were seated, and a large screen displayed an urgent situation. A logistics network Prescott Technologies relied on had been compromised. Packages, shipments, and operations were delayed, threatening millions of dollars in losses and client trust. This, Alexander said, his voice calm but firm, is your first challenge. You acted bravely yesterday without thinking. Today, you need to act smart, quickly, and decisively. You have 10 minutes to review the situation and present a recommendation. Marcus's pulse raced. This was real. Lives, money, and reputations were at stake. His training, his instincts, and everything he had learned in the last 24 hours would be tested. He focused. He scanned the reports, read the analytics, and noticed a critical flaw no one else had highlighted. His mind sharpened as adrenaline surged. He suggested a solution: reroute critical shipments, prioritize certain clients, and assign a specialized team to resolve the network breach. Silence filled the room for a heartbeat. Then Alexander leaned back, studying him. Interesting, he said. Explain why this approach works better than the current strategy. Marcus explained calmly, logically, and with a confidence he didn't know he had. He pointed out potential risks, mitigation strategies, and long-term impacts. Evelyn watched silently, impressed. When he finished, Alexander and the executives exchanged glances. Alexander finally spoke, a small smile forming. Marcus, this is exactly what we look for. Courage is one thing. Intelligence under pressure is another. You just proved you have both. Marcus exhaled slowly, feeling a rush of relief. He had passed his first test in the Prescott world. But more importantly, he had realized something profound. Courage and integrity weren't just moral traits. They were keys that opened doors to opportunities that could change lives. Evelyn stepped closer. Marcus, yesterday you made a choice to help someone in need. Today, you made a choice to think critically and act decisively. That combination is rare, and it's why we believe in you. Marcus felt tears well up, not from fear or pressure, but from gratitude. For the first time in his life, he realized that doing the right thing, helping, even when it costs you personally, could create unimaginable opportunities. Alexander stood. Marcus, consider this day a turning point. The Prescott family will continue to support and mentor you. You'll gain access to resources, guidance, and education most people only dream of. But remember this: every decision, every choice will define your path. Yesterday you proved your heart. Today, you proved your mind. Never forget that. Marcus nodded, overwhelmed but determined. I won't, he promised. As he left the estate later that day, the sun setting behind the hills, Marcus realized that his life had changed forever. He was no longer just a student worrying about exams. He was someone who had stepped into a world of responsibility, opportunity, and power, and survived his first test. Back in his neighborhood, he returned home to his mother, who greeted him with a mixture of relief and curiosity. So, tell me everything, she said. Marcus smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. Mom, you won't believe it. It's bigger than anything we could have imagined. And as he looked at the street outside, now quiet and familiar, Marcus knew one undeniable truth. Sometimes, the bravest choice is not the one that protects you, but the one that helps someone else. And when you take that leap, the world has a way of showing you doors you never even knew existed. Because for Marcus, skipping his exam to help a billionaire's wife didn't just change one day. It changed his entire life. And this was only the beginning.